Hello, everybody. It is once again your boy, A Drizzle for Shizzle. When it rains, it drizzles. Adrian Anonymous. Welcome back to the channel. I don't know. Today I wanted to hop on here and talk to you guys about God again, as I usually do. But today I wanted to speak about understanding that sometimes you have a responsibility too, as a follower of Jesus Christ. Sometimes you have to take action. You can't just sit around waiting on God for everything. Sometimes you have to get up and do things yourself, and I don't mean this in a way of where you're just acknowledging God, but it's if you want to win a race, like the classic Christianese saying, I guess, you pray to win a race, and God gives you the shoes to win that race. He doesn't just put you at the end of the finish line. You have to run and get to the finish line and put in the work yourself. Sometimes you have to put in the work to make it happen. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with lifting weights, almost. If you got a pair of 50s that you're not too sure if you can lift, but you pray and you're like, God, help me to lift these, give me the strength to lift these, and you try and you do it, that's a prayer being fulfilled. But if you just leave the 50s on the floor and you don't lift it at all, then it's how can God help you if you're not willing to put in at least part of the work yourself? Because at the end of the day, you have free will for a reason. God gave you that free will for a reason, and it was one, so that we could come to him in our true heart, but it's also two, so that we can put in work here on earth. And it's a matter of are you, the person behind the screen, gonna do it, or are you just gonna wait and not do it and just let it pass? That's the whole thing. If you're gonna pray for something, are you gonna actually do the thing that you're praying for, or are you just gonna wait around to see if God can do it for you? Because God just can't do stuff for you. He can make things happen sometimes, but most of the time you have to be the one to put in the work. When Jesus went over to the man to heal him of his blindness, he rubs dirt upon his eyes and he tells the man, oh, hello, my fault. Think about it when Jesus healed the blind man. He put the mud on top of his face and he told him to go and wash it off in the pool. Now, he didn't have to go and wash it off at the pool. He could have just kept the mud on his face and he would have stayed blind. But the fact that he did allowed him to be blind. God can put something in your life, but it's up to you if you want to take it or not. Only you can close the door that God opens for you. You don't have to step through that door. You can just sit and not go through. It takes action to sometimes fulfill prayers. It's not all the time, but most of the time, it takes your free will to fulfill something that God would have for you in your life. Like me, making these videos for you. I don't have to sit down, turn on the camera and talk about God, but I choose to, because that's what God has called me to do in my life. But I could easily ignore that calling and just not do anything with my life. But the fact that God is calling you to do something, you have to get up and actively choose to do that thing. Because if you don't put in that work, if you don't lift that weight, if you don't run that race, then God can't help you to make the blessings happen in your life. You have to choose. And it's the same thing with loving God. It's the same thing with loving people. It's the same thing with loving your enemies. It's the same thing with every commandment that God calls. You have to actively choose to fulfill that. You have to actively choose whether, okay, today I'm going to be more forgiving because God calls me to forgive. Today I'm going to love my enemies and I'm not going to curse out that guy on the street because God calls me to love my enemies. I'm going to follow God and I'm going to choose to obey God because I love God and I choose to love God. Because at the end of the day, God never changes, but you can always change. God loves you and the love will never stop from God. But if you stop to love people, if you stop loving people, if you stop loving your enemies, that's on you. That's not on God. God is not going to make you do something. God is always going to put that choice in front of you, and that's why he gave us the free will. So I feel like if anything, from today, choose to dedicate your life to Christ. Choose to dedicate your purpose to Christ. choose to just live your life for him. And yeah, let me show you guys the sun. It looks so beautiful. I'm currently at my public park right now, so hopefully the screaming isn't too much for you guys, but I just wanted to come in here and share. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I hope you guys are going to have a blessed week, a blessed month. And thank you guys for watching. Love your enemies.